Coming up on Oakdale Update, we're having a special show that will appeal to anyone who's an outdoor enthusiast. We'll chat with a member of the Minnesota Fishing Hall of Fame, and we'll learn about bow hunting from an area instructor. Stay tuned. Oakdale Update is straight ahead. Hello, and welcome to Oakdale Update. I'm your host, Frank Orsello. This is the City of Oakdale's news and information program about your community. This month, we're going to devote our show to hunting and fishing. First up, I'm joined by Grzywinski, who is a member of the Minnesota Fishing Hall of Fame and a popular fishing guide. Dick, thanks for joining us on Oakdale Update today.
Yeah, nice to be here.
Okay, so tell me something. Tell me about yourself. You know, where do you live and that kind of thing.
Oh, I live here in Oakdale.
You do?
Yeah, and over by Stillwater Road, and well, when I'm there, that's where I stay. So.
Okay, and your full-time job is fishing. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. How long have you lived there in Oakdale? You've been here
about 20 years.
20 years. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, now let's go back a long ways here. How did you get started fishing?
Well, my mom and dad, they're like I am. Now I fished every day, and well, when I was born, Mom put me in a picnic basket, and Dad, if we didn't have motors then, he'd row across to wherever we, with the boat, and well, I'd be in the basket. Ma'd take care of me. She loved to fish as much as we, my dad and I, and she'd show anybody with a fly rod or a bait caster, the guys used to watch her with a fly rod, fly fishing, and well, that's all I did.
How did your dad and mom, how did they both like to fish, and that's how they hooked up, or what?
Yeah, well, they both liked to fish, and my dad had 10 brothers or 8 brothers and 2 sisters. He come from a big family, and so did my ma. So, well, they survived on the stuff back then,
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so where did they fish in those days? Now, you're an East Sider. You were born on the East Side, and you went to Johnson High School. And where'd you go fishing then?
Oh, back, I used to fish failing and stuff, around the house, but weekends my dad and Ma'd have the car packed up, and we'd take off Friday night and wouldn't get home till Sunday night. We'd be up north, fishing all over the place. We were like nomads. We never went to the same place, twice in a month.
So your dad, if he was alive today, he'd be considered a professional professional fisherman, right? I mean,
oh, yeah.
Like doing it so much.
Well, the nice thing about it was I got what I call old man's disease. They fished 40 years ago like this. Well, Dad was a good fisherman all the way until he died, because he started learning from me. I changed his ways of fishing, where most old guys will stay back and fish the way they did, a long time ago. Well, I kept him going with the times, and he was a great fisherman all the way until he passed away. So.
Boy, I bet. And your mom, too? She fished right up to the end, too?
Yeah. She liked to go. She had a stroke towards the end there, but, yeah, she loved to fish,
Jeez. Well, tell me now, how did you become a guide? How did you get started guiding?
Oh, I don't know. I started working, I started working at 16, so I worked most of my life doing that, and I worked at a warehouse for a long time, and I got to the point I couldn't take it anymore, and I started taking people like Billy Martin and stuff, just on weekends, or if I get a client call up during the week, I had a doctor appointment, I'd take off and go fishing with him and enjoy my making some money that day, and instead of sitting where I didn't like it,
So what did you, because you were doing so well fishing, is that why? I mean,
yeah, I knew I was good at it. I had a talent at it. Like I said, I made my own jigs and flies since I was 6 years old. I had a Griz tackle company that made my feather jigs, which to this day there isn't a feather jig out there. So, and we closed it up, of course, now. But yeah, I caught fish on my own lures. That's and all that stuff keeps it exciting. Doing things. It's nice when you get a big fish on your own bait. That you didn't go to the store and buy it.
Sure. And this is your only job, is being a guide and
That's all I'd done for the last 43 years, yeah.
okay, now, and I'm not trying to get personal here, but can you make a living doing this, a good living?
Yeah, you can if you work hard like I did. I mean, in the winter time, you know, most guys, well, they sit in the boat all summer, but I guided on Mille Lacs for 43 years, and that was on open ice with 7-gallon, 6-gallon buckets sit out there. I went out left shore, it was 43 below zero. I had 10 guys that day, and well, that was one of the days. I put a lot of them, but you know, when it gets cold like that, and you're out there every day, you get used to it. So,
Oh, jeez.
yeah.
Oh, man. I don't know about that. Okay, so you mentioned that you've got a lot of fish that are in a photo album of. Tell me about that. What was that all about?
Oh, I'm Dick Sternberg. He was the director of the Hunting and Fishing Library, and I met Dick through putting these books together. It's a regular library volume, 25 books, and it's all on fishing and hunting. And I'm on the cover of The Secrets of the Pros in it, and I'm in every one of those books because I used to catch fish for photos. And for the book, you know, they'd set it up in a big tank and, you know, logs and all that, and they'd take pictures of these fish hitting the lure and all that stuff. Billy Linder was Dick's photographer, and he takes great shots, you know, of fish. And well, then Dick had that volume. Then he went to the North American Fishing Club. They got a hardcover volume of 25 books, and he put that all together. So, you know, I've been in a lot of those, you know, in Fisherman books and all kinds.
So what do? You catch the fish and then they live, and then they
Yeah.
put them in a tank, and then they
Yeah.
do a photo shoot as the fish is grabbing the lure in the tank. Huh?
They pick them up. You know, I'd leave them somewhere because I didn't have the tanks to haul them around. But I'd take them like Frankie's up there in Chisago, and I'd leave them there in his tanks up there. Then he'd pick them up and go from there. And well, I've done a lot of that. I got a permit that I can fish back then year-round out of season.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm so dumb. I thought all those pictures you see in the books, I thought there was some guy underwater with a camera and he's waiting for a fish to come by and grab a lure.
No.
Jeez, it's all staged.
Yeah, if you go down to the sports show, the Northwest Sports Show too, all the fish in the tank I catch every year for the
Oh, is
last
that
20
right?
years. So I got a permit for doing that too. So
Sure. Hey, so what lakes have you fished? You've fished them all, haven't
I
you?
fished everything from here to through North Dakota, and when, well, Ma and Dad was alive, we used to fish, go all the way to British Columbia. My Ma's brother, couple brothers are loggers way out in Washington. They up Moke Clips, I think was the name of the place. They call it the end of the world because there's no churches, no nothing
Yeah.
out there. Just logs. So, but we fished all the way through Montana, all those states out that way, and well.
Unbelievable. All right, so Al Lindner and Ron Scherer, you've fished with them a lot, and you know them pretty personally.
Oh yeah,
right?
I know. Yeah, I know all the guys. Gary Roach. I fished with all those guys, you know, and well, doing what I do, you meet them all, you know.
Sure. So what are they like? Are they pretty good people?
Oh yeah, they're great guys. All
Do
of
they
them.
listen to you? I mean, do they listen to what you say about fishing? Or
Well, you know, fishermen, they talk about fishing, but we talk about other things too besides fishing. But yeah,
well,
it's just-
Al Lindner, I mean, he knows a lot about fishing.
oh
too.
yeah, that's his life too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, I got to ask you, you're out fishing, and how much do you fish? You fish?
Well, I used to fish 300 days a year, and I hunt the rest of the time. But I cut her back at 73. But I still get out there at least 5 days out of the week. So,
Oh my goodness. So what do you do? Get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go out and?
so I start guide trip day. It'd be a night from 9 to 5, 5:30. If you got a nice day and you got some good people to be with, I keep till 7 o'clock at night. You know.
Really?
But you know, well.
Now,
That's-
okay, so fishing every day, catching fish all the time, obviously you do well. Don't you just get bored?
No, because you get down there, everything's different, you know. I mean, fish will sit for a while in one spot, but that's a nice thing on a river. If you're fishing a river, fish move, so it isn't the same every day. So my thing is to figure out where they are, and well, the other guys like to catch them. So
I'll be darned. I'm going to give you an example here. So you and I are going, I'm a weekend fisherman and you're a professional. So we both go to the same lake. What do you see that I don't see?
Well, first thing you do is look at your structure in the bottom of the lake. That's very important because they hang around any structure. You know, you just can't go to a lake and look at it and drive out there. You either got, nowadays you got the GPS maps. You can, you know, plug in the lake that you're fishing on. You can, well, this looks like a good spot, so you go over and try it, you know. And back in the old days, we didn't have that luxury, so. And, well, it's, I don't know, that's the way it is.
So you start that way and then you go, so what would it be, like a weed bed or?
Yeah, weed bed, rock pile, depending what you're fishing for, you know. And even bass, you get out in the hot months, you know, the bass move out on the rock piles, sandbars, and deeper water, you know, and well, everything's moving all the time.
Sure. Do you use radar too, or?
No, I got the regular.
So you truly believe in all the newfangled things, is that correct?
Oh yeah, I mean they've helped the fishermen a lot, and so it's making better fishermen out of people, you know, with GPS and like Mille Lacs. I fished that for 70 years. I started there with my dad when I was 3 years old, and back in the old days we used to line up a tree on shore and a cut over here, and but I knew the lake good enough. Even nowadays, I mean, my GPS went out. I'm not done like a lot of guys.
Sure.
They depend on it, you know.
Sure.
I just read if a depth finder's working, I know about where everything is, even though I'm 6 miles out, and find the hump on your depth finder, you know. And, well, back in the old days, we'd put a lead sinker on. That was your depth finder. You couldn't look at it on a screen.
Oh yeah, that's how I used to fish. You know, when I did it. Well, listen, Dick, we're running out of time here now, but I just want, do you want to give your phone number if anybody's interested in hiring you as a guide?
Call me after 9's a good time. Call me at area code 651-771-6231.
Okay, very good. You're a very fascinating man. God bless you for fishing all the time. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
3 hours in a boat and I'd be ready to jump over, I think. But good for you. I'm glad, and you like doing it, and that's important, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Very good. Okay, thanks for joining us today.
All right,
Dick.
nice to be here.
Okay.
Yep.
It's almost time for a short break, but first here's our trivia question. The Ramsey, Washington Metro Watershed District is holding the annual Waterfest 2015 on Saturday, May 30th, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Phelan Lake Park. Our trivia question is, how many years has the Waterfest been held? Is it 6 years, 11 years, or 16 years? We'll have the answer later in the show. It's time for a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more of Oakdale Update in just a minute.
Hey Greg, what are you doing in the bushes?
Oh, nothing. Just doing some bird watching. Yeah.
You know, this doesn't seem like such a great place for bird watching.
All right. I was just trying to get a look inside my city hall. I don't know any other way to get information.
Greg, you're such a silly man. You don't have to be a creepy spy. Why don't you just watch GTN?
GTN?
Yeah, GTN, the Government Television Network. It's on cable channel 16. They got a ton of information of everything that's going on in the 12 different communities in the northeast suburbs of Ramsey and Washington County.
No kidding. So you mean I can get all this information by watching channel 16 at my own home?
You better believe it, and they've got all their shows on their website too. That's gtn.org.
Wow, I should go check out channel 16 right away.
Hey, what are you guys doing over there? Government Television Network. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/GTN16.
Welcome back to Oakdale Update. Let's continue our outdoor theme with Don Buckentin. He's an Oakdale resident who is well known throughout the area for his bow hunting passion. Don, thanks for joining us on Oakdale Update.
No problem. Happy to be here.
You want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Where do you live, work?
Sure, I live here in Oakdale. I own a small sign shop, Valley Lettering, in North St. Paul. I grew up in the Stillwater area, so I've been in the area here my whole life.
Okay. And your wife, I know, is here in Oakdale, working in Oakdale too, correct?
Yes, she is. Mhm.
She works for who?
For Crown, which owns all the local Wendy's franchises.
Okay, so basically you're a recreational hunter, right? I mean,
Yes, sir.
That's how you got started in. How long have you been hunting?
I've been hunting since I was 14 years old. My folks started me in archery. My dad actually took up archery before I was born. He was so passionate about it. He sold all his guns before I was born. and
Really?
started
Is
bow
that
hunting
right,
Way
huh?
back in the 50s, yeah.
Yeah. And he probably used a plain old compound bow. Is that what you call them, right?
Well, back in those days, there was no compounds. It was a recurve.
So
back in
compound
those
is the
days.
curved one.
No,
S-shape.
no, that would be a recurve. Nowadays, the
recurve, okay.
compounds have the wheels and pulleys and whatnot on them. That's the compounds of today.
Okay, so he did it with the old-fashioned kind, huh?
He did, and actually, I started that too back when I started in the early '70s. That's about all there was.
Was he
at
still
the time,
alive when
too.
the new bows came out?
Yes, sir. In fact, he's still alive and still hunting
he
right
is?
now. He had to give up bow hunting a few years back, but he's still alive and still hunting. And,
Oh, for
and
goodness
my
sakes.
mother is
Good
too.
for
My
you.
mother, in fact, at 71 years old, shot the biggest buck in camp with her bow.
She did. She's a bow hunter too,
15
then, huh?
years ago, yeah.
Oh, great. Now, you're also an instructor. You want to tell me about that?
I'm a bow hunter education instructor. It's an advanced hunter education course. You need to have taken the gun safety course before you take this course.
Oh.
But most of the students we have now need this course to hunt in these metro hunts that I think we're going to talk about a little bit later.
Yes.
There's several states that require bow hunter education to hunt in those states. Minnesota is not one of those. But
wouldn't it be smart to go to get this,
oh, certainly.
the schooling first?
Anybody that's beginning in archery and bow hunting it would be wise to take the class. We cover a lot of practical things that you need to know out in the woods. Yep.
Why do we not have a law, rule, ordinance that you have to have a education?
I
You
can't
do for
understand
You
that.
do for shooting rifles,
Yeah, I
right?
can't understand that. You do need the hunter safety class
you do,
to
okay.
hunt.
But it's the
even
rifle.
with the bow.
It's the rifle.
Well, yeah, but there's still a lot of things they cover in that class that cover bow hunting and all hunting as well. I mean, safety always.
Okay.
Why the bow hunter education isn't required, I can't answer that. I wish it were.
Where do you do this? Where's your range that you?
I belong to Chillicoot Bow Hunters. We're one of the oldest private ranges in the whole upper Midwest. They were founded in 1952. It's over near Somerset. And we have a 20-yard indoor range there that we shoot in the wintertime, and a 50-acre outdoor range that we host public shoots, and we shoot outdoor leagues there in the summertime.
Okay, and you did mention that you have a lot of young kids that come to these classes, and
Yeah, I just finished a youth league that I was the main instructor for, and we had over 50 kids that shot that. It was an 8-week course, ran Saturday mornings for the last several weeks. We just finished that up last week.
And of course, the point is to get them interested in hunting because
And not even hunting, just archery in general. Anything to get them off the couch and away from the computers for a
good
while.
for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Now let's talk about culling herds. I've got deer in my yard, and they eat my flowers and my plants and my tomatoes, and they eat everything.
Yes, they do.
There's nothing they don't like, is there? So my personal opinion is there's too many of them. So what's the theory behind culling herds?
Well, like I say, in city, county areas, parks and whatnot, there are too many deer. For the most part, you're not allowed to hunt there. That's why this Metro Bow Hunters resource base was organized, is to get hunters, experienced bow hunters, into these areas where guns would not be safe, to get in there and try to take some of those deer out of these areas. And Oakdale's been pretty active in that the last several years.
Do we do about one a year, do you think, or one every couple years? Have a hunt once?
There's been one every year in Oakdale for
There has?
quite a while now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's certain different areas of the city that they hunt, but I think there's 7 different areas the last couple of years that they've hunted.
Okay, you mentioned that the hunters come in by invitation. And
No, they apply for the right to go to these hunts. Anybody can apply, although you have to follow certain guidelines in order to qualify for these hunts. You have to have taken the bow hunter education class, and you need to take a shooting proficiency test. And there's a couple different.
And you qualify, I'm sure, for all that, right?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. There's two different for Oakdale specifically. Now every hunt is different. There's several hunts in the metro area, but for Oakdale specifically, you need to qualify as a sharpshooter, which means you need to keep 5 arrows, 5 of 5 arrows inside a 4-inch circle at 20 yards. Mm-hmm. And you have to take that test before you're allowed to hunt here.
So what do? You call Oakdale and say, well, there's too many deer here. I'd like to apply for a...
Oakdale contacts the Metro Bow Hunters
Right.
Resource Base.
Okay.
And like I said, anybody can apply to the Metro Bow Hunters.
I see.
And then it's a drawing to see who gets to go on these hunts.
So you've done these hunts in Oakdale, correct? And
Yep.
how many deer have you taken out?
I've shot 2 deer in Oakdale, I guess, in the last 2 years.
How many come out a year?
I can't speak for Metro Bow Hunters, and I'm not certain of the numbers, but it seems to me there was 30-some that were taken out of Oakdale this past year by bow hunters.
That doesn't seem like enough. I mean,
I certainly would have liked a couple more. There's room in my freezer for one more right now.
okay. So what do you do with the meat? Or any of the hunters, what do they do with the meat?
Well, again, each hunt is a little different, but in Oakdale here, the hunters are allowed to take the deer home themselves, and I do that, and we eat a lot of venison, so it's a good thing for me.
You can do that, huh?
Yep.
But sometimes you hear about them giving the meat to food shelves. And
Yeah,
that.
there are some hunts where the meat is taken and given to the vet camps or whatever. Actually, my shop in North St. Paul here is right next to the food shelf, and they do not accept venison there.
They don't?
No.
The North St. Paul food shelf doesn't?
Right.
For why? What reason?
I can't tell you. I have no idea.
Well, I suppose because they can't control, or there's no control over it.
It could very well be. I know the donation programs that are out there, the meat has to be butchered by a certified
Yes.
locker plant, so I don't know that that's an issue.
That makes sense, though. Where would you go? Where have you taken out deer in Oakdale? Which parks or where? Do you
Northdale Park, I believe, is one of the places that I've hunted. There's a woods behind the bus garage down on Stillwater Boulevard
Yes.
where I hunted quite a bit last year. There's just certain small wooded areas here and there throughout the city that
You
the
missed
hunting
the
is
deer
allowed.
that hit my car right in front of the bus company on Stillwater Road. He ran
I didn't miss it.
You-
I may not have gotten it.
You never
but I
got a
did not
shot
miss
at
it.
him, huh?
Right.
He went right in the side of my car. $1,500 worth of damage.
I'm sorry to hear that. And that's,
Yes,
and
and
that's
you-
why cities allow hunting is to take care of
But
some of
isn't
that
this getting to be a
problem.
major problem? I mean, with the deer and the car collisions?
Yep, in some areas it really is. No question about it.
What's the problem with deer? They don't see cars, or they don't think about it, or what do you think?
I don't know.
I mean, he ran right into the side of my car.
I've had it happen myself. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, man. So, where do you hunt for pleasure? Just where do you go for pleasure?
I grew up in northwestern Wisconsin. We had a cabin there for years and years. I've since given that up for a place to fish up there, but I mostly hunt right now right around the Stillwater area.
You do? Mm-hmm. Oh, great. Where else, what other areas have you hunted in the culling the herds?
I hunted up in the Twin Cities ammunitions plant, up in the Anoka area there, I guess, where they talked about putting the Viking Stadium for quite
Sure.
a long time. I've hunted up in there before. There was a special hunt in the Minneapolis Public Waterworks area that I hunted at one time. And
What is that? Is that an enclosed area?
it was totally enclosed, and they had some gates open for a while, and they had a lot of deer that got in there, and they wanted them all out of there. So
All of
this
them?
was a very exclusive special hunt by invitation only.
Really?
And they
How many
wanted
did you get
every
out of
single-
there?
I think there was 20-some deer in there. And
They got 'em all out,
We shot
huh?
them all in one weekend, yes.
You know, I remember when they would try and cull the goose herd, there's always an outcry. People say, you can't be doing that to goosey goose or whatever. But it doesn't seem to happen so much with deer, is that correct?
Oh, there's still people that are opposed to it, certainly. They think there's other ways. You could sterilize them maybe, but the cost is so prohibitive
Sure.
that it's just foolish.
Yes, okay. Well, you know what? We are out of time now, but boy, that was sure interesting. And thank you but you missed the deer that got my car.
Again, I did not miss it. I did not have an opportunity at that.
All right, well, try it again next year, okay?
Very good. I'd be
Thanks
happy
for
to.
joining us today, Don. We're
Thank
out
you.
of time now.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
It's now time for this month's code enforcement reminder, which is about parking by mailboxes. Please remember to not park within 10 feet of any mailbox in the city. This is especially important during the summer when there are lots of events such as graduation parties and garage sales. Volunteers are needed for the community tree planting project on Saturday, May 2nd from 8 a.m. to noon. Volunteers will be planting trees, shrubs, grasses, and wildflowers. Meet at Tanner's Lake Park, which is at 400 Glenbrook Avenue in Oakdale. For more information, please contact City Forester Chris Larson at 651-501-5302. We're just about out of time, but first let's answer a trivia question. We asked you, how many years has the Waterfest been held? The correct answer is 16 years. For 16 years, the Watershed District has held a Waterfest event to promote clean waters and provide a hands-on learning opportunity about water quality as it relates to our watershed. There are numerous activities and events scheduled for this year on May 30th from 11 to 4, including canoe and boat rides, fishing, sailing, displays, and experts to answer your questions. For more information, call 651-792-7950 or visit the website listed on the screen. That's all we have time for. For everyone at the City of Oakdale, thanks for watching.